We are looking forward to our pieces this evening and looking forward to sharing them with you. We're going to start this evening. I hope everybody has program notes. I did that so that I didn't have to blab all night. And so please feel free to follow along with us. So we would like to start with Tailspin. So I will share just briefly a little bit about this next piece, Brian Balmage's Moscow 1941, just to kind of get the setting in our minds. The piece is a bit of a reenactment of the German invasion of Moscow, or we should say the attempted invasion of Moscow in November of 1941. The capital city is almost a ghost town at the time. So as we begin, imagine 2 million people have fled the city. It's occupied only by the Red Army, and the Germans are knocking on the door, and this is kind of a reenactment of the stand that took place over the next several months. bit of a standing rule that was generated after years and years of playing Christmas tunes from October, the middle of October until the week before Christmas. It gets to the point where you are literally ready to just well, you're sick of it, so what we've been trying to do is start Christmas tunes, get our other stuff ready to go, and then start Christmas tunes the day after Thanksgiving break. So that gives us 2 weeks to really dig in on that piece of music. And for other reasons, I was ready to vomit the day after Thanksgiving. And so it was delayed a few more days, and these guys have really stepped up. We're going to do a version of Carol of the Bells that we've been working on now for about a week and a half. And you can see how much they've grown as musicians to be able to read, work on it, and pump out an arrangement in a week and a half. So here we go, Carol of the Bells.
So, did it send you to dreamland? Isn't that a cool thing? A guy having a dream and coming up with a piece of music that sounds like that. Really took me there as we read it for the very first time. This next piece, we have to have some introduction, just so it makes some sense. And so while the percussionists are gathering all the goods in the back, I'm going to actually turn the mic over to Liz Alderson and have her share with you a little bit from this piece.
On the morning of December 29, 1890, a group of 350 Lakota Sioux were camped on the banks of the Wounded Knee Creek in South Dakota. Surrounding the camp was a large contingent of U.S. soldiers charged with the responsibility of arresting the chief and disarming his warriors. Emotions were raw and the atmosphere was riddled with tension. The preceding months had been hard for the Lakota Sioux tribe. Their buffalo herds had been rapidly disappearing, and there was an encroachment on all sides by settlers and government forces. The people knew that the way of life they had known forever was rapidly nearing its end. Many Native Americans sought salvation in the new mysticism preached by a Paiute shaman in Nevada. Several Lakota Sioux emissaries had traveled from South Dakota to hear his message. Wobuka prophesied that the dead would soon rejoin the living in a new world in which all would live without fear. The shaman encouraged all who would listen to perform the ghost dance, and many believed that ghost shirts would protect them from soldiers' bullets. During the fall of 1890, the ghost dance phenomenon spread quickly through the Sioux villages of the Dakota reservations, revitalizing the citizenry and bringing an increased level of fear to the area of settlers and the U.S. Army. After the death of Chief Sitting Bull, a group of 350 Lakotas fled south seeking protection on the Pine Ridge Reservation. The Army intercepted the group on December 28th and brought them to the edge of the Wounded Knee Creek to camp. In the early morning hours of December 29th, all the Lakota men were summoned to the center of the camp, and the soldiers ordered the men to surrender their weapons, agitating an already tense and serious situation. The troops then began ransacking the camp's tents, bringing out bundles and tearing them open, tossing small knives, axes, and tent stakes onto the pile. There were also individual searches of all the warriors. Most accounts say that one of the Sioux spoke out in defiance of the soldiers. Throwing dirt in the air, he danced a few steps at the ghost dance and urged his friends not to worry, that the soldiers' bullets could not harm them. As the tension built to an unbearable level, the unthinkable happened. In the noise and confusion, a Lakota gun accidentally discharged. Within seconds, the troops fired volley after volley in the new unarmed camp. Many ran for a ravine next to camp, only to be cut down in the withering crossfire. When the smoke cleared and the terrible chaos drew to a close, nearly 300 Lakota Sioux lay dead. Perhaps no summation of the catastrophic event is more profound or eloquent than the following words stated by a famous Lakota man, Black Elk, who survived the massacre. I did not know then how much was ended. A people's dream died there. It was a beautiful dream. The nation's hoop is broken and scattered. There is no center any longer, and the sacred tree is dead. The piece we are about to perform for you ghost dances was inspired by the tragic story of the massacre of those 300 members of the Lakota Sioux tribe at Wounded Knee, South Dakota in 1890.
As the percussionists are getting set, let's start somewhere else. These guys are taking care of about 47 different instruments back there. I'm exaggerating, I have no idea. It's a lot, and they're keeping track of everything that's on their part, which can be as much as 4, 5, 6 different instruments reading on one line. So they're doing a great job back there. For something completely different, this spring sketches, it's based on a fanfare, but it's a very reflective piece. You'll hear just a little segment of the fanfare come in right toward the end of the piece. But from Young Pheasants in the Sky, Satoshi Yagasawa's arrangement of the spring sketching. playing more difficult literature is, of course, the length of the tunes that you're working on. And we experienced this today in our rehearsal it's like a 49-minute period. It's supposed to be a 50-minute period. Getting set up, all that good stuff, and then running your tunes. Not all of them will fit in that amount of time as you're working and trying to get things done. And speaking of which, today in Wind Ensemble, we actually didn't quite get through 2 of our tunes that we'll be playing on the concert tomorrow night. And we'll be playing a total of, I believe, 5 tunes with several multi-movement. I would love to have you come back and join us for tomorrow night. Wind Ensemble and Jazz Band will be performing. So I'm saying all this because we haven't been to the end of this one since last week. So come on for the ride.